On behalf of AmWestEntertainment.com, I'm Joe Christofak, and it's time to take a look at Week 4 of the Dubai World Cup Carnival. It's going to be a bigger challenge this week because I'm flying solo. Probably wondering, where is the incomparable one, Pat Cummings? Well, my guess is he's probably frolicking on Kite Beach right about now. Let's just hope for the locals and the sightseers alike that he's not wearing a Speedo. In all honesty, Pat has some very serious, important business to attend to in Dubai, unable to join me this week. He'll be back in his comfy home in Boston and joining me for Week 5's video, so don't despair. I've got some good information from Pat. We've got some entertainment value for you during the course of the next 15 minutes or so as well, as we take a closer look at week number 4. But first, some information about Dubai World Cup night, which is horse race day in the world, the 20th edition of Dubai World Cup night, Saturday, March the 28th, and nominations have been released. Some of the names on that nomination list include Bayern, California Chrome, Horse of the Year in America, UAE Derby winner, second in the Breeders' Cup Classic, Toast of New York, Belmont winner, Tonalist, also Turf Horse of the Year in America, Main Sequence, Japan Cup winner, and the highest rated racehorse in training currently, Epiphania, and literally thousands of others. Over 2,000 nominations for Dubai World Cup night. Tickets are available now at DubaiRacingClub.com. Week 4, the Dubai World Cup Carnival, as I mentioned, brought to you by AmWestEntertainment.com, where you can get a plethora of Carnival information, including Pat's comprehensive, past performances for absolutely nothing. They're free. Stats and charts courtesy of Trackus, Pat Cummings' detailed analysis and selections, and possibly, most importantly, free live streaming video on race day. And, of course, AmWestEntertainment.com, partnered by Amwager.com. If you're a horse player, that's where you want to play. Fan-friendly interface, advanced wagering tools, best player rewards program. If you're playing Dubai, no better place than Amwager.com. Carnival recap week number 3. Some important points that Pat has sent along. And let's start with Charlie Appleby. The streak is over. Point wasn't that Safety Check was an impressive winner, the second win of the Carnival already, but it was the first win for an Appleby trainee after anything but a first-up performance. He's been winning great first up, but last year, with horses that have already raced at the Carnival, he was 0 for 32. Now, Safety Check is a monster right now. Another impressive victory. Looks like the Zabil Mile may be next for this Charlie Appleby charge. Umgil flew home. He sprouted wings in his victory for trainer Mike DeCock, being the first horse to win off the South African quarantine this year, going from last to first in the stretch. Very impressive. Looks to be a progressive sort. Big prices on the tote board and very fast times in week 3. Beat Baby, a World Cup night competitor last year for Scandinavian trainer Niles Peterson, was a nice 19-1 winner, but it was Tulane winning at 123-1, the largest price since March 27th of 2010, when Al Shamali shocked the Dubai duty-free field at odds of 145-1. Now let's take a look at some of the important races for Week 4 of the Dubai World Cup Carnival. The Cape Verde is on the agenda. It is the 12th running of this race, and surprisingly, it's a race that has not been dominated by Godolphin or Mike DeCock. Only 3 Godolphin and 1 Mike DeCock winner in the last 11 runnings, and Godolphin doesn't even have a runner in this year's edition of the Cape Verde. The featured race on the program is the $200,000 Group 2 Al Rashidiyah, 1,800 meters on turf. And, of course, we should mention the first post on Thursday, 9:45 Eastern Time in America, 7 thoroughbred races, and the Al Rashidiyah 16th running. Mike DeCock has won this race 6 times. Saheed bin Saror has won this race on 4 occasions. Last winner, first up, Mujarib, upsetting Mushrek, who had won the Singsfield Stakes. We're going to get to those featured races in just a little bit, but first let's start where all good things begin. Race number 1 on the program. And this race is a $110,000 US dollar event, 1,900 meters on dirt, the Emirates Global Aluminum Trophy race. And Pat wants to spotlight a horse by the name of Get Form. So let's call up the video and take a look at this horse who was fourth behind Faulkner on opening night. He was beaten only 2.5 lengths. And we're going to take a look at Get Form directly behind the leader, Aqua Silks, Yellow Cap at the 50.3 mark on the Longines clock. And Pat Cummings thought this horse ran very well. He didn't tip him, didn't make him his top pick this week in the opening race, but he thinks he could be an interesting value play. Get Form finishes very well in this race against tough competition. We mentioned that Get Form was fourth behind Faulkner. He was only beaten 2.5 lengths. Thought Faulkner was a good winner this day. Pat's a little bit concerned about the 1,900-meter distance for Get Form, but at 12-1 in the morning line, certainly worth a look. Now, race 1 on the program, the morning line favorite at 5-2 is on back. We remember this horse finishing in front of Henry Clay. He showed good pace-pressing speed that day. He was very game in getting that victory, and he did lose some ground that day. So I'm back, can easily get his second win of the Carnival. Other horses to look at, and here's Storm Belt, already his third run of the Carnival, second and fourth in his previous 2 tries. And Artigiano, this one coming in from the barn of Charlie Appleby, his first run of the Carnival, first run since late July of 2014, but he fits very well from a class perspective. Let's fast forward now to race number 4 on the program. This is the $200,000 Group 2 Cape Verde, sponsored by Emirates Global Aluminum. Now, this race does host a compact field of 8. In my opinion, not really the strongest race you're going to find for a Group 2 at the Carnival. The morning line favorite at 2-1 is Energia Fribi, the Brazilian bred. Horse has had some recent Group 1 placings. 2-1 in the morning line here. Horse that Pat Cummings wants to spotlight, though, is Slipper Orchid. And this horse exiting a much, much easier race back on January the 15th of the Carnival, finishing 5th that day, beaten 1 length only by Belgian Bill. That was a mad scramble to the wire. We're going to pick this one up at 102.3 of the Longines clock. Slipper Orchid absolutely last. Number 13, under the track diagram, flies home for 5th. Pat is taking this horse on top on the class rise. Slipper Orchid, as I mentioned, finished 5th, beaten a length by Belgian Bill. The 16 horses in this race were separated by 4.5 lengths. It was a mad dash to the finish. Slipper Orchid definitely finished well, and Slipper Orchid is going to rate a big chance in this race, in Pat's opinion, despite the class rise. I'm not really sold on that Belgian Bill race. We'll see how well horses coming out of it do as they move forward, but this is going to be Pat's selection for the race at odds of 5-1 in the morning line. And that brings us to some other horses in this race that may have a chance, including a horse I like a little bit, Wee Jean, who may be a little bit on the progressive side at the age of 4. This horse has also competed decently against high-class competition, and I think this horse still has more to give. So Wee Jean at 8-1 in the morning line in a race where I'm really not sold on the favorites. I'm going to give Wee Jean a big chance in race number 4. Of course, we'll give you all of our selections at the conclusion of this program. Let's move on now to race number 5, and the 5th race is a $120,000 handicap Emirates Global Aluminum Cast House Trophy race, and some familiar names in this field. The morning line favorite at odds of 3-1 is United Color, last seen finishing 3rd behind the class-dropping and classy Reynaldo the Wizard. That was back a couple of weeks ago. United Color beaten 5 lengths that day. Another horse in this race on the outside, post position number 10, Muanid. This horse was only a half length behind United Color that day, beaten by 5.5 by Reynaldo the Wizard. Both fit like a glove in this particular spot. Another Party, a horse that a lot of people are going to look at, finishing 2nd last out behind Safety Check. Safety Check a perfect 2-for-2 in impressive fashion at the Carnival. Another Party, though, has never been on dirt. Big question mark based on the fact the horse has never raced on the surface, and the pedigree as well. 5-1 in the morning line on Another Party. And then on the far outside horse, and I'm a little bit interested in, Silver Ocean, 4-for-8 lifetime on dirt with 2 seconds, trained by Niles Peterson, who won a race last week with Beat Baby, so maybe Niles is going to get on a little bit of a roll. here at the Carnival, maybe winning a race for the second consecutive week. Silver Ocean at odds of 12-1. But Muinid is going to actually be Pat's Track-A-Stat of the day horse. And this horse, according to Pat, covered the widest trip in the Dubawi Stakes. So obviously losing ground behind Reynaldo the Wizard. This is a horse that's got to be considered based on the competition. This will be his second race of the Carnival, third race already of the Carnival, and Muinid fits extremely well in this field, and if he can save a little bit more ground, he rates a much better chance. Track-A-Stat of the day, Muinid covering the widest trip in the Dubawi Stakes. Now we're going to move on to the Amwager value play of the day, which is also in race number 5. Horse that Pat likes in here at 15-1 is a horse by the name of Encipher. And Pat tells me that you can't let this horse get too far away from you. The last run will be viewed with a lot of skepticism, as he did finish 10th of 10 behind Safety Check. But that race was on grass. The Jebel Ali and Muscat form will also turn a lot of people off. But the bottom line, according to Pat, is this horse, Encipher, is a dirt horse. He loves a trip. Definitely the value play of the day. He likes to race handy. Should be just off the early gallop in this speed-laden field. He's drawn well in post position number 4. Pat expects a big run. I can tell by talking to him that he's very excited about this horse as a potential price play. The yard has had some good runners thus far at the campaign, and more often than not, they are ignored at the betting windows. So the Amwager value play of the day, race number 5, is Encipher. Let's move on now to race number 6. This is the featured race of Carnival week number 4. It's the Al Rashidiyah, sponsored by Emirates Global Aluminum. This race is worth $200,000 US, and it is a Group 2, and it marks the return of Vercingetorix for Mike DeCock. Horse was a perfect 6 for 6 to start his career. Then he ran into a horse on World Cup night by the name of Just Away, who was much better than Vercingetorix, although Vercingetorix did gut out a really solid second-place performance. He was third in his final start of the season at Shaitan, and he hasn't raced since then. That was back in April of 2014. We'll see if Vercingetorix needs the trip. He is the class of this race, but we're going to take a look at the Singsfield Stakes. And a horse by the name of True Story, who was very impressive in that victory for Godolphin. As you look here at 115.8 of the Longines clock in the Singsfield, True Story in all blue outside of the leader. Another horse who has entered here, Shenshawa, is in the blue silks, white sleeves, yellow Shenron. He runs on well to be 4th in the Singsfield. And True Story, he's one of those horses that they've been trying to get the best out of him. He's going to wind up defeating the classy Mushrek in this race by more than 3 lengths. He does it with something in reserve. The Singsfield was a good race. This is a better race for one reason, Vercingetorix. He's one of the better horses in the world when he's right. So True Story, in order for him to have another happy ending, he is going to have to run huge, and Pat Cummings thinks that he will. Amwager, best bet of the day. Number 7 in the Al Rashidiyah, race number 6, True Story. According to Pat, ran so well first up in the Singsfield, really impressed with his gallop out, seems to be flying after his gelding operation. Vercingetorix, according to Pat, aimed at a later affair, so he's going to go with True Story as his Amwager best bet of the day for Carnival week number 4. 4 selections from Pat Cummings, myself, and Mackenzie Kirker-Head. You can visit DubaiRaceNight.com as we reveal Pat's selections for week 4. And he starts in race number 1 with Stormbelt. Might be closer, and worked for an outside run. He gives Stormbelt a chance in his 3rd run of the Carnival. I also think Stormbelt has a chance. He's going to go Atug with his 2nd up performance in race number 2. Bit of a disappointing performance, I should say, the first time he raced at the Carnival this season. We'll see if he can rebound against a pretty good group. Race number 3, Pat is going to go with 3-1 shot. Phil has been good in these types of races and doesn't mind the kickback. We talked about Slipper Orchid, his selection on the class rise in race number 4. Should get plenty of pace to run at, according to Pat. Talked about True story being his Amwager best bet of the day in race number 6. And in race number 7, he's going to go with the class-dropping Mushrek, who always brings his lunch pail to the racetrack. He's a good, hard-hitting, hard-knocking individual and facing much easier competition this time around. Let's take a look now at my selections for Week 4, the Dubai World Cup Carnival, and I like Pat's value play in race number 1, Get Form. I think he put forth a good run behind a solid winner, and I think he fits well with this group. If I get anywhere near 12-1, I can get behind me at the betting windows. Banadir could be any kind for Mike DeCock in race number 2. Not sold on the rest of this field. This horse has plenty of upside. Give him a good look in the parade ring and in the post-parade and, of course, in the warm-ups. Race 3, I'm going to go with a horse who's cutting back with speed. Number 3, Pit Stop at odds of 15-1. Wee Gene in race 4 at 8-1. Kept good company in the past. Has some upsides. I think the favorites may be vulnerable. We'll go with Reynaldo the Wizard's third place finisher behind him in race 5. That's United Color. Decent run that day. I think he's fairly consistent, and I don't think he has much to beat in race number 5. I'm going to go against Pat in race number 6 and go with the class of Vercingetorix, who I think, even if he's 80%, should be able to get the job done, even if he's pointed to bigger races down the road. And finally, race number 7, Hunter's Light at 12-1. This old-timer probably isn't what he used to be, but he hasn't faced this sort of soft competition, and I can't tell you how long ago. I mean, this horse, if he is half of what he used to be, should be able to beat the field. And at odds of 12-1 in Pat's morning line, we're going to hope that the class drop awakens Hunter's Light in race number 7. Amwager Bankroll Challenge, Pat and I, well, we kind of punted last week. We're going to call for a mulligan, as both of us lost our entire $100 bankroll. I don't know why I just didn't bet Safety Check. He paid $7 and change. I thought he was the most likely winner. Maybe didn't think I was going to get the kind of price I wanted, and played some exactas with him, or excuse me, some trifectas with him that didn't work out. So Pat and I looking to rebound here in week number 4 after tanking our $100 in week 3. Let's take a look at Pat's selections. He's going to bet Atug to win in race number 3. He's going to bet Encipher to win in place in race number 5. Also in race number 5, he's going to key Encipher in first and second, using some horses in first and second during the course of the construction of those tickets, and punching that all button for third on a pair of 50-cent trifectas that cost him $20 each. Here's my Amwager Bankroll Challenge bets for this week. Race number 1, win in place on Get Form. Race number 3, win in place on the Long Shot Pit Stop. Race number 4, win in place on Wee Gene, who's a square price. And in race number 5, I'm going to go with $1 pick 3 and spend almost half of my bankroll. I like a price shot Silver Ocean in the first leg. I like a price shot Sociology Inc. in race number 6. And also a horse that should offer good value in race number 7 in Shigera. So if I can get one of those horses to win and get victories from the other 2 horses that I'm using in my sequence on a $48 ticket, that price could absolutely blow up. Don't forget, you can follow Pat and myself throughout the carnival on Twitter. Pat is Dubai Race Night and Trackus Racing, and I'm Joey Decay Racing. On behalf of the incomparable one, Pat Cummings, I'm Joe Christofak. Enjoy Week 4 of the Dubai World Cup Carnival.